Hello, this is Sal. Today we will be talking about IP helper with addresses. Here we will configure DHCP server on router 1 to provide the network of sales on this side with IP addresses, and the same with the HR network PCs so they can obtain their IP addresses from router 1. But because the PCs are in a different subnet, so we need a way that they can obtain their IP addresses from the DHCP server. Here we will configure the IP helper on router 2. But on router 1, we will configure two pools, one pool for sales department and the other pool for HR department. And both networks will get or obtain their IP addresses dynamically from the DHCP server we will configure on router 1. So now on router 1, enable, configure terminal, IP, DHCP. Let's exclude some addresses, IP addresses on the network of 192.168.1.1 to 192.168.1.10, excluding 10 IP addresses on the network of 192.168.1.0. Now the DHCP pool, we want to name the DHCP pool. We want to name the pool of addresses for the sales department as sales. Now we have the options for the network of 192.168.1.0 with /24 subnet mask, and the default router for this network here is 192.168.1.1, and the DNS server we want it to be 8.8.8 for all the PCs in this topology diagram. So now, because the DHCP server is in a different subnet, we will configure router 2 as the DHCP helper, but for now, let's configure the second pool here, IP DHCP. Also, we'll exclude some IP addresses in the HR subnet or HR department of 172.16.1.1. Let's make it also the same 10 IP addresses. Now IP DHCP pool, we will name it for the HR. Now IP network, our network is 172.16.1.0 with /24 subnet mask. The default router for this subnet is this IP address, this interface of 172.16.1.1. DNS server is the same. We said we want the DNS server to be the same for all hosts in this diagram, topology diagram. So now let's see what we did so far. Show, run, pipe, include DHCP. We can see here that the excluded addresses for the sales department from 192.161.1 and IP addresses here, and IP addresses here. We named the first pool sales and the second one HR. So now for the hosts here on this network, if we go to PC1, it is gonna be easily obtain its IP address because it is the same subnet as the DHCP server, and we can see it obtained it of 192.168.1.11, and the same with the PC2, and also the same will happen with the PC3 because they are on the same subnet as the DHCP server. We configured it on router 1. But now here with PCA, if it tries even after we configured the DHCP server for this network, but because it is in a different subnet, it will get a PIPA IP address that it is not routable, and this PC here will not be able to reach this subnet here to obtain its IP address dynamically from router 1's DHCP server. So now on router 2, so we want the IP helper, the IP helper addresses. First, what we will do is enable here, configure terminal. Now on the interface of gig01 here, this guy here, this is the gateway. So this gateway this is how these PCs, these hosts here, can reach the outside world. This is their gateway. So we want them to send a request here to this guy in order to get their IP addresses from router 1. So on the this interface of gig01, now IP helper addresses. The option is IP destination. Where do you want them to get to? From here to their next hop, which is this interface on gig00, the IP address of 10.1.1. 10.1.1.1. So now we configure DHCP server on router 1 and the IP helper addresses on router 2 for this network of HR network. But still, when we go to PCA or try to obtain its IP address, and it's still not able to. Why? Because we did not configure any sort of route between this network here and this network here. So what we will do for router 2, I configure a static route. So IP route, we want from router 2 to reach this network because it is not directly connected to it, to router 2. This network here is not connected, so we will type as in the address of 192.168.1.0 subnet mask, and the next hop or its gateway, the gateway for the router is this interface of 10.1.1.1, and the same, it can get there, but the traffic can get to this, but how to get back? So we need to configure the same IP static route on router 1, configure terminal, IP route. Also, this network here, the HR network of 172.16.1.0 is not directly connected to router 1. So 172.16.1.0 with the subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. And as for router 1, its next hop or its gateway is 10.1.1.2. 10.1.1.2. Exit. Now we will go to PCC here to see if it will be able to get its own IP address dynamically, and sure enough, it can. It got 172.16.1.14, and the PCB the same here, and it can. And this guy here, because we tried it more than one time, and sure enough, it got the 172.16.1.13. Let's see if this PC here can ping this PC of 11, and this guy here 12, and this guy here 13. So let's try to see that. Ping 192.168.1.11. Yes, it can. And also the other PC. And sure enough, it can. So what we did so far here, or what we did in this, I hope I explained it in a very easy way. So we configured one of the routers as a DHCP server. A DHCP server for two different subnets. One is connected directly to the router, and one is in a different subnet, which is the HR subnet here. So we configured two pools, sales pool for this network and the HR pool for this network, and for the PCs or hosts in this network to obtain their IP addresses from the DHCP server we configured on router 1. We configured the IP helper address on router 2 here, and then we configured, you can maybe dynamic routing protocol like OSPF, EIGRP, but I chose to use a static route between the two routers, and things are working nicely. Even if we add more PCs here, they will be able to obtain their IP addresses directly from the DHCP server on router 1. I hope you learned something from this video. Please, if you like it, share it and subscribe to my channel and give me the thumb up, and I will see you soon in the next video. Wishing you all a nice day. Thank you for watching.